Good morning, everyone. Okay, I'm going to start with this. That it says, we the people of India, having solemnly resolved to constitute India into a sovereign democratic republic and to secure to all its citizens justice, social, economic, and political, liberty of thought, expression, belief, faith, and worship, equality of status and of opportunity, and to promote among them all fraternity, assuring the dignity of the individual and the unity of the nation. In our Constituent Assembly, this 26th day of November 1949, do hereby adopt, enact, and give to ourselves this Constitution. So India became independent in 1947, and we gave us this brilliant Constitution in 1949. I was born in 1955, not much later. And let me tell you this, that growing up, I never felt independent or free, even though our country was free. Nor did my mother, or my aunts, or any of our household. We knew we had graduated from being subjects of the British Empire to citizens of free India, but it made no material difference to our lives. Yet we celebrated August 15th and went January 26th with great custom and enthusiasm. I saw my mother go faithfully every 4 years to cast her vote to the party and candidate that my father chose for her. And she went also only because my father asked her to. She personally didn't care at all. So was she a citizen? Or was she still a subject? Did she feel like a citizen? Even today, 70 years post-independence, a vast majority of our citizens continue to feel like subjects. They don't feel or act like citizens. Citizens in a democracy have agency. Remember, government by the people. They are free to make choices about their lives. They don't live by permission of their masters. How many women have agency, are free to make choices and decisions about their own life? I know I didn't. I was married off 1 year after I finished school, even though I wanted to be educated. But my father made all the decisions, and to a man that he chose. Women are always taught to live by permission. First parents, then husband and in-laws, and later on often sons. They don't feel free and equal. They feel like subjects. They think of themselves as subjects, not citizens, as do Dalits and the very poor. Now let's take a look at the institutions in which we all spend a large part of our lives, our families. Are they democratic? No, they're very patriarchal. I just told you how everything, the fathers normally will make all the decisions, they will decide everything for the family, and mothers and children will live by their permission. And many other institutions. Let me tell you one time, there was when the census was being taken back in 2011, the census maker came home, and sooner than that too. And he took my name, then husband's name, etc., etc. And then he went to my husband, he took his name, and then his father's name. His father had passed away, so late father's name. So I asked him, I said, sir, if he does something, who will you find? My father-in-law has passed away. Why don't you take my name? I'm living, I'm his wife, just like you took my husband's name. He said, no, madam, that's not the system. Then I was filling a visa form. And in the visa form, again, I had to fill my name, my husband's name. What did my husband fill? His name, his father's name. Right? So patriarchy very much exists in all our institutions. Let's look at schools. My daughter was 3 years old. I took her to Loreto Convent to get her admitted. And after everything, they said, please fill the admission form. So I did it. I wrote my name. I wrote the child's name, and then it was guardian's name. I was going to write my name. They said, no, not you, your husband. I said, I wake up at night, I take care of the child. Why my husband? They said, no, that's how. So when I started my school in 1986, I made sure to put both parents as guardians. Our corporations, still very hierarchical. There's one boss who will decide everything, and everyone says, yes, boss, and they have to do what he says. They live by permission. Our castes, the worst blot on our society. All hierarchical. We still talk about upper castes and lower castes. And untouchability still in place in many, many homes. So tell me then, how are we a democracy? That all our institutions are undemocratic. And why are they still so undemocratic 70 years later? Here's my take. Our founding parents did a great job writing our constitution, one of the best in the world. But they missed an important next step, educating everyone for democracy. So we still have very strong feudal patriarchal mindsets which govern how we behave. And unless those are deconstructed and democratic mindsets constructed in their stead, we will never have a robust democracy. And I think they missed a huge opportunity. Education gave them this opportunity. They should have made it mandatory for all schools as part of their educational goal to educate everyone to think. Everyone needs to feel and think and behave like a democratic citizen. And what does that mean? It means thinking that I am an equal, autonomous person worthy of respect, and so is everyone else. Women, Dalits, poor people, all of us should be thinking like that. So actually, patriarchy has no role in our democracy at all. It's a contradiction in terms. And a hierarchical caste system has no place either. It also means understanding that I am one of we the people. Remember we said in our constitution that we should all understand the values that are enshrined in the constitution. Understand them like we learn them in civics class. No, truly understand them so we can live them. What does equality mean? What does fraternity mean? What does it mean to be one of we the people? This means actively thinking about the welfare of my society and country, caring about what is happening to us, just like we care about our family, feeling a sense of belonging and ownership both, like we do with our families, a sense of responsibility and a sense of intention. We grow up with a clear belief that when I grow up, it is my responsibility to take care of my parents, my children, my family. That comes very naturally to us. In the same way, we should be raised, educated, to believe that when I grow up, it is my responsibility to take care of my parents, my children, my family, my community, my society, my country, my world. Being a democratic citizen means participating in shaping the country actively, by thought, word, and deed, thinking critically about the condition of our country. Is our constitution being honored in everything we do? It also means knowing your rights. And this is especially true for people who have been subordinate for a long time. For women, for Dalits, for poor rural people. Let me tell you a story. One of my students, very poor girl, her parents didn't want her to study and she wanted to carry on after class 10. She defied them and they beat her up. So we sent the police, we sent Childline, and she was rescued. I went the next and I spoke to her mother. Mother was very angry with me. She says, with Khushbu too. And she says, look at this girl. She called the police on her father. I said, ma'am, she didn't. I called the police on the father. She said, how can you do that? Who are you to do that? I said, ma'am, if he beats you, your neighbor can call the police also. We have a law against domestic violence. She suddenly stopped and she said, really? I didn't know that. She didn't know her rights. She didn't know what rights the Constitution, that she was a citizen and she had certain rights. And the moment I told her, I saw her kind of stand a little taller, as though she had been empowered by that knowledge. So recognizing yourself as a citizen is a very empowering thing. It empowers you to cast off your subjecthood, your serfdom, to recognize yourself as a free, sovereign, equal person. Our schools should educate students to think, feel, and act like citizens. I run an educational organization, which I founded myself in my garage in 1986. And the educational goal of our organization, the vision of our organization, is to educate everyone to be for gender equality, for social justice, and to be an active, caring, democratic citizen and change maker. This is how we look at the goal of education and our role as educators. An authentic democracy simply cannot flourish if all the citizens do not learn how to think, act, and feel democratically. And for that, they need to understand what it means to be a democratic citizen. What is the difference between being a citizen in a democracy and a subject to a king or queen? We must understand that difference. And how is that going to happen? What do we do in our school? We create spaces in the official curriculum. Once a week, all our students We work with students in rural areas, in urban slums. We have a college, we have a school like yours. And every student has to sit once a week and engage in critical dialogues. We use a critical pedagogy, where they think actively, discuss actively, engage on very critical issues like caste, like gender, like poverty, like democracy, like citizenship. And think about it, just like they work at maths and science, that's how they think and talk and learn about it. Schools must become places which are democratic and which encourage democracy. So my call to action is both to educators and to students. Educators. We need to redefine education. Think very carefully about what we teach, how we teach, and why we teach it. I think our curriculum is totally out of date. For too long have we focused only on technical education and trained our children only for livelihoods. Of course, we must do that. But we must teach lessons of equality, lessons of democracy, along with lessons of math and science, and take them just as seriously. Look at us. We have more educated people now, more college graduates, more school graduates than we had in, say, the 1950s, when I was a young school student. But are we a more socially just country? Are we a more democratic country? I don't think so. Which is why education seems to have shortchanged us. It is a very important thing that education can do. For too long have we focused too much on preparing them for livelihoods alone. And students, don't wait for us to do this. You take charge. Take your place as citizens. Make the effort to understand what that means and then commit to living the democratic values, without which no country can be counted as a democracy. It will mean unlearning feudal values fostered by undemocratic institutions like patriarchy and caste, deconstructing undemocratic social, religious, and cultural norms, and reconstructing your own minds and those of others. And how are you going to do this for yourself? First, you must understand how important it is. Do you want a thriving democracy or not? If you want to, then you have a very important role to play. You should care enough to think about this. Think together. Engage with each other in critical dialogues to understand what equality means, what fraternity means. See what you have to give up in your life and what you have to change in your behavior, in your homes, in your society. You know, we all talk about girls' empowerment, and everybody is very happy to talk about that. And they're very happy to talk about girls are driving trains and planes and they're going to the moon, etc., etc. But no one wants to talk about how boys need to change. When you talk about boys learning how to cook and clean and take care of children and do everything that girls do too, only then will we have gender equality. Only then will they find the space to be everything that they can be. So boys, patriarchy is not your fault. But if you want to be a true democratic citizen, then you must see what you can do about fighting for the human rights of women and girls. Patriarchy is very cruel to your sisters, your mothers, your aunts, your future wives and girlfriends. So what are you going to do? How are you going to change? And it is possible. Let me tell you how I managed to reconstruct my own mother-in-law's views about caste. She used to practice untouchability. She would not let the people come into the house or take touch our utensils. And I didn't like it. For some years, I swallowed it as very young, of course, good old patriarchal mindset. Of course, I believed that I had to do everything that she said. And then one fine day, I just said no. And I told her, no, mommy, I can't do this. It's very hurtful. I tried to pursue this. I told my husband then that I would leave and I would just set up my own kitchen. I loved my mother-in-law, but I could not live with her if she participated in this. He told me that, why are you making such a big thing out of it? I said, because it is a big thing. If I believe in something and I don't live it and I can't make it happen in my own home, then who am I? And do you know what? My mother-in-law agreed and she was able to change. She told me then तो तुम अपनी मनमानी करती हो. You want everyone to do what you want. I said, no, Mummy, it's not everyone doing what I want. I think we should all do what our constitution says. I think we should all do what morally we think is right. And equality is very important. How can you treat them like that? And she changed. So her mind was reconstructed. Her feudal, patriarchal mindset, she was a very good person. She was not a bad person. She had not changed her mindset. And that changed. We want this to happen in every home in our country, in every mind in our country. Then we will be a true democracy. And lastly, students, being a citizen means being prepared to lead. One of my alum came to my office one day. I love meeting them. She was about 25 or 26. And I told her, Beta, kya kar rahi ho? And she looked a little embarrassed and then she said, no, dear, join politics. She thought I would scold her. I was delighted. I said, oh, good for you. Oh, very good for you. You know, many of us are very frightened to join politics. And we think, you know, it's a dirty place. We shouldn't be part of it. We shy away from it. But you know what? It will remain dirty if we don't jump into the arena. And when you are a democratic citizen, it's not a good to have. It's a must have. You must prepare yourself for democratic political leadership as well. You must participate in your society, in your polity, fully. Of course, you must live for yourself. But you must expand the sense of yourself. And being a citizen gives you this right. It also gives duty. So nation building is every citizen's duty and privilege. It's a privilege, remember that. So let's all learn to be citizens. And educators, let's all teach our students to be citizens.